Good morning, everybody. It is your boy LotGoat here with what will be my first ever YouTube video. And today, what better way to start than with a fairly accessible Clan Boss team, the One Key Ultra Nightmare Myth-Heir team. So, without further ado, let's get started. So welcome in, everyone. I am LotGoat, and I'm sure there's probably dozens of these videos on YouTube, so I just wanted to say real quick before we get started, thank you for clicking on this one, and hopefully we can get this team working for you. So let's dive into it. So right here, without further ado, there is your team composition. Okay, this particular one has Deacon in the lead. Okay, all of the speeds that they are at are based on Deacon's speed aura. Speed in all battles, 19%. So all of their speeds account for that. Okay, that is key. There are other compositions of this team that require higher speeds without Deacon in the lead. I prefer to do it this way because the speeds are a little bit lower, which for earlier game players can help you immensely because every little speed helps. Okay, so as of course on this team we have Demytha and Heiress, hence Myth-Heir team. They're the two heavy hitters in this one. They're also your two fastest champions. Once again, Deacon Armstrong in the lead. He is a free champion if you acquired him earlier in the account. And we got the Seeker. And then we have Geomancer in that DPS spot. So let's jump into the setup. Again, this will show you the turn orders and the AI that you need to set up while working this team. This is key. So we're going to jump into the setup here. Also, while we're doing that, shout out to my boy Nasty, whose account this is. I appreciate you letting me jump on and doing this guide. I do have all these champions on my account, but they're all +4 and easier stats to acquire on an account like that. So we're trying to do a more friendly version and a more accessible version on this account. Shout out to Nasty. So starting off, we're going to start with the fastest champion here in Demytha. Okay, Demytha is 274 on this comp. Okay, now real quick, if you've noticed, we are in the Clan Boss screen right now. We'll get to that eventually, but her speed you're looking for is 274. Okay, and since we're here, there's her turn order. You want to focus, channel the bloodline, priority 1, light of the deep, priority 2. Okay, moving on. Next fastest champion, don't worry, there's good news after this, is Heiress. Okay, Heiress is 245. Again, can be tough when you're early game, but it gets better after this. Okay, she's got some accuracy, she's got decent attack. We do want to kind of milk the much attack as we can out of everyone. That is her stats right there, but we are focused on the 245 speed for Heiress. And pretty easy AI setup. Prioritize exoneration, then you're good to go. She's only got 2 turns as a rare. Number 3, 185 Deacon Armstrong. Okay, 60 speed less, much easier to build. And as you start getting these slower champs, you can really start maximizing their attack. Okay, when you're doing an Ultra Nightmare team, you want to maximize your damage. So starting to build these champions for attack is the way to go. You want to squeeze every ounce of attack, crit rate, crit damage that you can. He's also got some accuracy. That's kind of a bonus, though it is good to have, depending on the stuff you have him in. But Deacon Armstrong, 185. The key to his AI setup is that A1. Okay, he needs to open with that A1. Then prioritize number 2. Prioritize sweeping retribution, as number 1. Time compression number 2. That is your AI setup for Deacon. Make sure you have him opening with the A1 to get the cycle going. Following him, another good damage dealer is Seeker, 169. Again, going even slower now, which means you can pump up the other stats. He's got 5,300 attack. He's got a little bit of accuracy again and pretty high crit damage. We got lucky on this build. Yours might be a little bit lower. Just try to focus on that crit rate and the attack. Okay, and then he's going to open with his A1 as well, but he's going to prioritize number 2. Once again, this is key in your setup. It should look like this. Finally, we have Geomancer. Geomancer is 155. Now, some guides say he can be 156. We didn't quite get there. We didn't have any 1-star glyphs, unfortunately, but 155 did work. As with the other champions, they can be in a range, but I like to have them exactly. So if you're 1 or 2 speed off, it might work for each champion. Try to get exact if you can. That's what I recommend, because you never know what's going to throw off a run. Okay, once again, we are prioritizing and opening with his A3. We'll get more to that in a second. We are second priority is Creeping Petrify, his A2, and then his A1 is just default. And that is your team composition. One thing I will say about Geomancer, he does have high accuracy here. I'd say you want to hit 300 plus at least so that you can land that A3. Geo is pretty much the only one that benefits from a lot of accuracy, but we also have a ton of attack on him. We're 1% crit rate off, but it didn't help anything, and he's also got a lot of crit damage because Geo is your DPS champion. Now, real quick, I chose Geo because he is an epic. He's a little more accessible, okay? You could use Rathalos if you got him. If you were signed up in time to get the ninja, you can use him. But one thing I recommend is using a force DPS, a force damage dealer. Why? Because when you are fighting Spirit Affinity, the most annoying affinity when it comes to this composition, okay, it's even more finicky, but a Spirit Affinity is going to target the force champion. If you don't have a force damage dealer, it's going to be Heiress. You do not want her taking the stun. Okay, that is key. So any force damage dealer works. You can put Turvold if you have him somehow, but that is your damage dealer slot. Because they can be slow, you can maximize their attack, maximize their crit damage, but I recommend Geo because he's an epic. He's a very good damage dealer, and you'll see why in a second here. So moving out here, we're going to go to the Clan Boss screen. Why am I showing you this? This is your team order. Again, don't ask me why it works, but this is the order of the champs that it should look on your screen. Deacon first, Geo here, Demytha here, Seeker here, Heiress last. No matter what, your damage dealer, especially a force one, needs to go ahead of Heiress. Okay, so always just put her last. Try and make the whole composition just look like that. Makes life easy. Okay, so now let's go into the champ builds. And we'll go to a more in-depth look here. Again, shout out to Nasty for letting me use the count. We're going to go to his turn order, and we're going to start with the fastest one in Demytha. So there is Demytha. One thing you might notice if you're paying attention, her speed, that doesn't equal 274. We'll get to that. Okay, that is probably the biggest issue on why this doesn't work for some people. But there's her gear. Nothing special, just a mix of a bunch of different gear. Nothing thrown in, just to hit that 274 speed. I know it doesn't equal it. We'll get to that. There's Heiress, okay? One note I want to make on Heiress is I have had fantastic luck in the 3 times I've built this team putting her in a toxic set. Highly recommend if you have the gear. It's not required, but she is taking so many turns and counterattacking so much that she's putting so much poison on the clan boss when it lands, which is why you want a little bit of accuracy. Okay, if you can get her to 245 with the toxic set, it will do massive damage to the clan boss and will help you immensely again. Anywhere you can milk that little bit of damage is going to help. So if you can do a toxic set on her, that's great. As you can see with this particular toxic set, we actually have room to grow. Okay, but a quick tip. This is only level 12. It's fine, but if we put it to 16, it could roll into speed. So be careful with when you're upgrading gear or ascending gear, especially if you're ascending boots. If that rolls speed, it could help you if you need to get there. But if you're already there, it's going to throw it off. Okay, so toxic set on Heiress, if you can do it, that'd be great. And there is her masteries. Real quick look at the masteries there. I'm covering it right now with my webcam, but it's Methodical and War Master underneath my camera right now. So that's the 2 that you can't see. All right, and jumping over, we'll go back to Demytha real quick. There's Demytha masteries. Once again, Methodical, War Master. Bottom left corner. Okay, take a real quick look at those. We'll move on to the next one, which is Deacon. Deacon's gear, again, full damage build if you can. Okay, we got Savage and Cruel. We got lucky that the speeds and these sets kind of came together to make it work. Okay, again, doesn't equal 185. Just hold on. So that is Deacon's gear. Max the attack that we can. We got him over 100% crit rate, and we got some decent crit damage and accuracy on him. So that is a bonus. So we did try and put pretty much a damage build on everybody here, as you'll see as we go to the Seeker, which is somewhere here. We'll do it the faster way. Going into his Seeker here. Now, obviously you'll notice he's a +2. You might not have him +2. That's fine. Okay. He does get a little bit of bonus stats. So if you can't quite get the stats that are here, don't worry about it. He's got a little bit of bonus there. But as you can see, over 5,000 attack, lots of crit damage, 100% crit rate, a little bit of accuracy. Doesn't really need much on the other stats. He's lacking in HP, but that's the beauty of Unkillable. Jumping over to his masteries. There's his masteries there. Again, methodical, War Master underneath the camera. I apologize, but pretty much War Master on everybody, getting that little bit of bonus damage where we can. And finally, we have the DPS champion. In my opinion, the best champ for this comp. If you disagree, leave a comment. Who do you use? How does he work for speed? Anyway, Geomancer. Geomancer, again, nice and slow. Okay, lots of attack, crit rate. He's at 99. If you get 100, fantastic. Lots of crit damage and accuracy. This is pretty much the main focus for Geo. One of the only champs in this comp that you really want accuracy for. Heiress to land her poisons, Geo to land this A3. Anything over 300 is probably doable. We went a little bit overkill on there, but if you're getting the banner, you can use an attack percentage chest. If you get a decent attack banner, you can use an accuracy chest, but we don't even have it here. It's just getting bonus stats from everywhere else. Okay, so if you can get that accuracy as high as you can, so that he can land his A3. 75% chance, books to 100 of placing an HP burn and weaken. Both of those are fantastic because that leads you into his passive. Decreases the damage all allies receive by 15% and deflects that damage onto an enemy under HP burn. So, if working correctly, the clan boss is going to continuously have this burn on him, and every time the clan boss attacks, he is going to take damage. When I ran this team for a test run, he was taking anywhere from 300 to 1,000,000 damage reflecting on him. And as he takes more and more turns, his damage is going to go up, which is going to reflect more on him. This is why I love Geo in this spot. Again, he is 4-star awakened, so don't worry about the awakenings on every champ. So he does get some bonus stats like crit damage and more attack. We got him in cruelty. Okay, you can look at all the other blessings here. Not really relevant too much. So crushing rend on him. If you do happen to have stars, you can throw in some ignore defense, blessings, whatever you like. Will help you out. Anyway, so you made all this, you have all these speeds, you got the speeds exact. Why do you think this wouldn't be working? Okay, we went over the team comp. You have all the AI laid out, all the turns are the same as what you have in this video, and it still doesn't work. Okay, that is your team. Let's go through a couple of things that might throw this off. Okay, number one, masteries. Masteries are huge. Okay? You might think they're not playing a role, and I've showed you all of their masteries, but let's go into Seeker, for example. This is the masteries I have for Seeker. Aside from Heiress and Demytha, you don't really need the support tree. If you need to milk a little bit of accuracy on somebody, you can go the support tree, but why do you want to avoid the support tree? Okay, number one, Lore of Steel. Okay, if any of your champions have Lore of Steel, you have to be careful what their gear is. Okay, if you notice, Demytha had it and Heiress had it, but they didn't have any speed gear, any perception gear, divine speed, etc. Okay, which means they are not getting a little extra bit of boost from this mastery, so they can have this mastery. Okay, however, if you're using, go out to his gear here, he doesn't have it. But if you're using a speed set, 2-piece speed set, you're getting that percentage bonus from that 2-piece speed set, then this is going to throw off your comp, because it's going to give you a little bit more speed, which is going to mess with your tune. Okay, so be real careful if you have Lore of Steel. You can use it, but just make sure you're not getting any set bonuses from your team. Okay, so if you have perception, if you have speed, divine speed, again, if you have any of those sets as your gear on this champ, this is going to throw it off. So be careful. Number two, lasting gifts. 30% chance to extend the duration of any buff cast by this champion. Okay, if you're extending buffs, if you're extending that increased speed, if you're extending any type of buff that might mess with your turn meter, your speed, etc., that's going to throw it off. Not as bad, but since it's not extending the block damage, that's good. But depending on your composition, could screw it up. But one of the biggest ones, somewhere here, Cycle of Magic. Okay, 5% chance of decreasing the cooldown of a random skill by 1 turn at the start of every turn. Every turn. It might only be 5% chance, but a lot of your champions are taking 2 turns before the clan boss takes a turn. That is a 5% chance every time of decreasing the cooldown of a random skill. So, if this is on pretty much any of your champions, it could potentially throw off that AI setup that I showed you at the start. For example, if it's on Demytha, if this activates on Demytha and it cools down her A3, she's set to prioritize that A3, which is her block damage. She's going to put that up before she needs to. Maybe it skips her A2, maybe it skips her A1. You don't know, right? If this skips Heiress, it could throw off, or she'll cleanse too early. Deacon won't get her extra turn too early. Seeker, in this case, might use his A2 and boost your turn meter when it's not needed, and that's going to throw off your cycle. So Cycle of Magic, Lasting Gifts, and Lore of Steel. Be careful of those. Okay, that is number 1. Number 2, relics. These were not even in the game when I first made this team, so I didn't have to worry about this. But relics, you can use them. They're fantastic. You can get little bits of stats out of these relics whenever you can. Okay, so you have to make sure your relic isn't one that affects turn meter. Okay, for example, if we go into the Forge, go into his collection, one of the biggest ones is, if he has one here, he does not. He does. The Journal of Necrosis, where his heals and turn meter increase effects applied to allies are boosted. Okay, well, Seeker's boosting your turn meter. If that's by boosting more 15%, it's going to throw off your comp. So you got to be careful of your relics. Same with the gemstones. Gemstones also screw it up. Okay? Like this one, Extra Velocity, whereas turn meter increases by 3% whenever the wearer fails to place a debuff. If you don't have the accuracy and your debuffs aren't going on, these little gemstones that you might not be paying attention to could throw off your comp. So you want to avoid any relic or gemstone that's going to mess with turn meter or cooldowns. Right? That was tip number 2. Once again, if we go into relics, they can help. So if we got Geo here, I threw this on Geo just because it gives him 39 accuracy, right? And ignore resistance. So that's a nice little relic for Geo. Something you want to look for. Maybe it's extra attack. Maybe if you do want to put a wand of submission on because you just can't get that last couple of speed, that's fine. But make sure your relics are only giving you attack, accuracy, HP, which you don't really need. Giving you those stats are going to help you and aren't affecting your turn meter. Okay? And finally, number 3, which might be the most common mistake for this team composition, is area bonuses. Okay? So if you recall, I said in the clan boss screen, I showed you all the speeds, but when I was looking at the champion, their speeds were a little bit off. That is because of area bonuses. Okay, so if you look at Nasty's account here, we go to the Demon Lord battle, he's upgraded the speed area bonus of the clan boss. So he is getting an extra 6 speed for the clan boss for every one of his champions. So when I say Deacon, for example, he needs to be 185, well, technically he's 185 minus 6 because we have to account for this 6 speed. Okay, because if you go into, we'll pull them up again, recently used, if you go into Deacon here, okay, look, 179, but you go up here, select Demon Lord, 185. So that's going to add your area bonuses in. So make sure you're accounting for that when you are tuning this team. Okay, that is one of the biggest reasons why this team fails, is because people might have just thrown one in there randomly and now it's off by 2 speed. Okay, so account for those area bonuses. Now real quick, that's pretty much everything. Again, we'll jump into the clan boss here and we'll show you how it's supposed to work. I'm pretty sure everything is still good. We won't do the quick battle just yet. So we got magic affinity. That's good. We can really see how this team works. Let's see how it goes. So Hopefully this is going to work there. She's going to open with her A2. She's going to cleanse. The opening's not really much. You're going to take a hit at least. Okay. There's that A3 going. 190, 730 for the reflect damage. Okay. See that? That is what the damage that Geo's passive is doing. And then this team's just going to cycle out. So if you think we missed something, if I didn't touch on anything, you can comment down below. I'll try not to say that too much. But ideally, as you saw this there, Demytha is going to put the block damage up right before he attacks every single time. So that is your Myth-Heir Clan Boss team. If you have any questions, I'll link my Twitch and the Discord down below. We have a great community on my Discord. You can post your questions, and we have a lot of people that can put their input there to help you out. So that's it for my first YouTube video. I appreciate you guys for jumping in. Once again, there's probably a bunch of these guides available, but I just had a lot of fun making these teams the other day, so I thought I'd get that going. So as you can see here, we'll just watch it a couple more turns. Everybody's cycling through. The AI setup is key. Block damage goes up right before 5.4 mil, 5.8 mil, 400k on the reflect damage of Geo. This is why I reflect Geo. And right there, that is the composition, working as intended. And this should get to turn 50, which at turn 50, he ignores unkillable and kills your whole team. So a 1 key Ultra Nightmare. There it is again. Reflect damage is going to put up a number 400k. So 1 key, Ultra Nightmare. If it's got to be 2 key, if you don't quite have the damage yet for 1 key, get all that attack up, get that crit damage up. Watch out for your area bonuses. Watch out for your relics. If you have any questions, join that Discord. I've been LotGoat. Thanks for joining, guys.